Hello, everybody. And now the next chapter of Found. And previously on Found, Chip had announced that he got a letter just like Jonah. You are one of the missing. And he found out that he was adopted. Well, why didn't you tell me that this afternoon? Jonah asked. He felt kind of silly. It was like when he was on the swim team and some of his friends had hidden his clothes, so he had to walk through the rec center lobby wearing nothing but a Speedo while everybody else was clothed. I told you I was adopted. Why didn't you just tell me you were adopted? I didn't know, Chip exploded. His whole face was red. Mom and Dad never told me anything. All this time I thought my parents were my real parents. They're still your real parents, Jonah corrected automatically. They are not, Chip said furiously. They're total strangers to me now. How could they not tell me? That wasn't a question that Jonah could answer. After a certain point, he'd stopped reading all the kid-approved Isn't Adoption Wonderful books that his parents had bought for him and started sneaking peeks at some of the books on their bookshelves. Things like Raising the Well-Adjusted Adopted Child, or What to Tell Your Adopted and Foster Children, or Adoption Without Secrets. All the adoptive parent books Jonah had ever seen acted like there was one commandment that Moses had forgotten to bring down from Mount Sinai. Tell adopted kids the truth. Chip was running his hands violently through his hair again. If he kept that up, he'd end up pulling all of it out. Stop that, Jonah said. Your parents probably thought they were doing the right thing. Chip laughed bitterly. Yeah, the right thing for them. He stood up abruptly, knocking the desk chair backwards. This is just like them. They always want to pretend that everything's normal, that everything's fine. No, Chip, you didn't hear anybody yelling last night. Your father and I never fight. Adoption's normal, Jonah said stiffly. It's been part of human society for centuries. Chip shot him a get real look and began pacing. When he reached Jonah's door, he pounded his fists on the wood. Then he lowered his forehead onto his fist and he just stood there. Chip, Jonah asked nervously, are you okay? You know what's funny? Chip said in a strangled voice without lifting his head. It's kind of a relief, not being related to them. I don't want to be like Mom and Dad anyhow. But who am I for real? Like, who are my real parents? Birth parents, Jonah said quietly. They're called birth parents. Chip rolled his head to the side. Would you stop that? He said. It's like you're brainwashed or something. What? Jonah said defensively. Those are the correct terms. Birth parents are the people who gave birth to you. Real parents are the ones who change your diaper and get up in the middle of the night when you're a baby and show you how to ride a bike without training wheels. And he stopped because he thought he was quoting directly from What to Tell Your Adopted Foster Children. Chip slid down to the floor, crumbling like one of those rag dolls that Catherine used to drag by the feet. My parents didn't show me how to ride a bike, he said. They left that to the babysitter. Jonah thought for a moment. Well, at least they were the ones who paid the babysitter. Chip groaned. He balled his hands into his fist again and pressed them against his eye sockets. Why? He whispered. Why did my real parents give me up? This time Jonah didn't even bother correcting Chip out loud, although his brain translated. You mean your birth mother set up an adoption plan? You know, there are lots of reasons why people can't take care of their own kids, Jonah said cautiously. Maybe your birth parents died. Maybe you're adopted from Russia or someplace like that where things are different. He waited a second, but Chip didn't move. Maybe now that you're adopted, your mom and dad might tell you more about your story if they know it. Sometimes even if the records are sealed at the time of the adoption, people change their mind and decide they want to be more open. Okay, now Jonah was almost certain he was quoting directly from one of his parents' books. Chip began shaking his head again, so hard it rattled the door behind him. Then he glanced over at Jonah, his eyes burning. My dad said, Chip choked, swallowed hard, tried again. My dad said I didn't need to know anything else. He said he never wanted to talk about this again. And then Jonah felt the anger boiling up inside of him. Jonah didn't get mad often. He'd never met Chip's dad, just seen him drive by. He drove a nice car, a BMW. Jonah probably couldn't have picked Chip's dad out of a lineup. But right now, Jonah wanted to stalk over to Chip's house, swing his best punch, and hit Chip's dad right in the mouth. He wanted to hit him a couple of times. Jonah clenched his fist. Chip was still staring up at him, but his expression had slipped over into helplessness now. Helplessness and hopelessness. What can I do? Chip asked. When you're grown up, Jonah said, you can try to find your birth parents. You won't need your mom and dad's permission for anything. And until then, I swear I'm going to help you. And that's where we're going to stop.